Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get Real with Morton. And this month, I am joined by William from Xin Mortgage. I think
Hi, everyone.
we had before doing financial planning, but today's going to be a very interesting conversation. We're talking about first homeowners and the first home buyers. And are there any? Like that's the first thing. Like Sydney being so ridiculously expensive because we're just looking at the affordability. Sydney was ranked as the second most unaffordable city in the world. William originally was from Shanghai, and I think Sydney's more expensive than Shanghai.
Yeah, I think these days it is.
Crazy. Like that's crazy. I think in the stats we rated it 13.8 and apparently, if you over 5.1, you're considered to be in trouble. So we're well and truly over that.
Correct.
There has been some changes to the first home owner rules from a financing point of view. So I thought we'd talk about that and see, is it possible to buy a property in Sydney?
Yeah.
So why don't we start with that?
First of all, any kind of Australian citizen and PR can be eligible for this program, which is a good benefit. Second one, in the old rule, they have a number of space, limited for each financial year. So for example, 34, 35 in the thousands, a number of spots.
Right. So, so I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
So once those spots were filled up, that was
You can't. You have to wait for next financial year.
And were the spots filled up?
Actually, the answer is no. So probably 2 years ago when they first announced this program, the spot ran quickly.
Right.
All the major banks ran out of their space.
Yeah.
And they will have to find a non-bank lender to fill in this kind of spot for our customer.
Interesting.
But, later on with the property price crazily increase, then a lot of criteria cannot be met.
Right.
Including the property price cap. For example, in New South Wales, if you want eligible for this program, the property price cannot be more than 900,000. Yeah. This is the biggest challenge for Sydney market at the moment.
Yes, true. I mean, there are areas of Sydney, you can get apartments that are well under that price. So there are areas that you could afford it.
Correct.
So that's interesting. Capped and the 900,000 was at that level. And in terms of the income levels,
they also have an income cap. For example, like a single applicant, your income cannot exceed 125,000, and as a family to borrower, you cannot exceed 200,000. So that's the older rules.
Okay, so if your income was above that, then you couldn't be part of the scheme.
No. And also on the other side, because of the lending environment change a lot, interest rate increase a lot, right? So normally when we measure a customer's borrowing power, it's based on, let's say, 5 times DTI, debt to income ratio.
Yeah.
So for example, if you are one single applicant earning 100,000, which means you're able to borrow 500,000 to buy your first home.
Right.
Obviously you can't find any property at 550 or 500,000 benchmark in Sydney areas. But even you are like a high income earner, you're only able to borrow 1 million, right?
Yeah.
However, the property price capped at 900,000.
Right. So you couldn't.
So it's really ridiculous, in the old, policy and the rules. That's why the number of space, not really too many people can participate in and use up, especially in Sydney areas, New South Wales.
And in that scheme, so what did they get? They could do the 5% deposit and the government was paying the mortgage insurance.
Correct. Yeah, they're standing as a guarantee. So basically 5% deposit, they can borrow 95% from the bank without paying LMI. And also the interest rate is as same as 80% LVR interest rate, which is quite good.
Oh, because normally the higher
LVR, high interest rate.
Right, okay. So then with the rules changing on the 1st of October, because there is a lot of noise around that, what are they changing to?
So first of all, they remove the number of space cap, right? No limitation. Second is most important thing is they remove the income limitation, which is huge good news for high income earner. And also last but not least is the increase of property price from 900 to 1.5 million.
But I just find this fascinating where we're talking about first home buyers and then we're talking about high income earners. So we have high income earners in Sydney that have not bought a property yet.
Yes, a lot.
Right. So you expecting that when this comes in the 1st of October, that we're actually going to see a flurry of more people into the market to buy properties?
Correct. In Sydney environment market, living cost is biggest issue for young generation, right? So that's why eventually a definition for first home buyer looks like a 20 years old, 25, 30 years old. But the reality is, they can't really accumulate enough saving Even 5% deposit for purchasing a 900,000 apartments need a lot of saving. So that's why, the benefit is to those high income earner. Usually they only have like 100,000 or 150,000 saving in their pocket. But if they are not able to participate in this program, buying a property need have like let's say 20% deposit. They need to wait 2 years, 3 years, 5 years to at that kind of stage.
So what is the age of those first-time owners that you're talking about, the high-income owners? What is their age?
Yeah, so our majority client for first home buyer is sitting at like a 30 years old to like a 40 years old.
Can you believe that? Like 40 years old and you're a first-time owner, like, well, the world's gone crazy. Like I don't know why, I just think of first-time owners as being young people in their 20s, but it's not.
I think the situation is like Australia is like a migration, country. So a lot of people starting from other country and migrate to Australia at 30 years old, 35 years old, and starting to accumulate income and saving. So that's why, we can see a lot of, from 35 to 40 years old, kind of category of customer.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We should have people on the property ladder earlier.
Yeah.
Like from a, I don't know, societal point of view, economy point of view, we need them earlier.
Yeah.
But I suppose you think there's going to be a flourish of these buyers in the market. I mean, obviously 1.5 up to that does actually get you across a lot of Sydney.
Yeah, quite large of the range, right? So, but when we do a calculation, it's also not an easy thing because even you just need to 5% to buy property. But remember, if you buy 1.5 million property, you need to pay the stamp duty. So that stamp duty is like roughly 65,000. Plus, 5%, then you need to have 140,000 saving at least to get into this market.
God. Well, I suppose if you're talking to people who've got this criteria then, and they can meet it, then that's all good news.
Course.
One question I wanted to ask you is on that deposit, are you seeing the bank of mum and dad come in where actually family money is being used to pay those deposits?
Even I said most of the first home buyers sitting at 30 to 40 to participate in this kind of government guarantee scheme. But there's a lot of other clients, young generation, they buy first home, of course, but they are not participating in this program because of mom and dad, bank from mom and dad.
Okay, so if you got your deposit from mum and dad,
correct,
are you able to participate in this first home owner?
They don't have to participate in this program because they don't need to borrow 95. They got like a 40%, even 60%, from their parents.
But they could also do the 95, just get the 5% from mum and dad.
Actually, it's not because the government guarantee scheme, they need to have a very strict, measurement on the customer's saving position.
Right.
So for example, if the customer have more than 5% in their bank account, then the bank won't giving them 95. So for example, if the customer have showing a proof of 10% in their bank account, the bank will only give them 90%.
Right.
So this is like a really strict on this kind of saving position for the customer. If I have a lot of money and I want to participate in this one, potentially not.
How do they know what's in the bank account?
It's based on like a fact find those things. Right. Some customer can play tricky. They don't show the bank. I have this kind of money. I say, this is possible.
Yeah.
But from the lender's perspective and the government perspective, they want to use this scheme to help some customer really short of saving.
Oh, and also I suppose the customers who are actually saving the money themselves, not getting it from other sources. Isn't it? Well, I mean, I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, are you, generally speaking, actually, are you seeing in your mortgages and doing things for young people, are you seeing a lot of involvement of the bank of mum and dad coming in with some?
Yeah, this is tough, situation happening. And I'm personally also worried about the second generation of customer to buying their first home. With this property price increase, with this unaffordability in Sydney areas. So definitely I see a lot of parents sitting at our age trying to build a portfolio for their kids.
Right.
They buy under like a family trust and potentially will for their kids, next generations.
God, this is quite fascinating because I saw something from realestate.com that was talking about the amount of money that will be transferred from older generations to younger generations through the purchase of property, because unless you've got that, you aren't going to be able to buy it, which I suppose when you come back to the point of high income earning people in a first homeowner scheme, older people transferring money down in order to allow young people to get in. It all seems crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy. So, well, that has been very informative. I really appreciate that, William. I suppose at 1.5 million, there are plenty of places around Sydney you can buy. Certainly out around Penrith, Green Square, St Leonard's, other good areas that we're selling lots of property that's under that price point.
Yes.
So I suppose for the buyers out there, knock yourself out. This has been Get Real with Morton. I've had William from Xin Mortgage here. If you want a mortgage, talk to William and his team. They're great. I fully recommend them. And yeah, so great information. So thank you very much for joining me.